Sunday, 9 p.m. European time, and it's the Norwegian Ham Radio Show.
Yep.
We got a couple of people out today. Tobias is sick, and Walt has a wife. So, and Walt's wife, we're not saying this in a mean way. We know what it's like.
It was more like he was the only one, so there hasn't been any change of situations, has there? I hope I'm still married.
Yeah, he's still married. It's just that he had to do family things today, I think. So
sounded more like he was the only one still married. So, but yeah,
I'm still married as far as I know.
Me too, as far as I know. Everything seemed all right when I got home, so nobody told me. At least.
We'll see after the stream.
Yeah, we'll find out.
And there's a little bit of announcement because the European Ham Radio Show is not only on video now. Let me see if I can bring the right page up here. We are now a podcast.
Ooh.
We are on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, whatever hi-fi, everywhere you listen to your podcast, I think, because this podcast thing is a lot more complicated than YouTube. But we're on a podcast, and the podcast is simply just the audio feed from our live shows. So if you watch this, please listen to the podcast as well and help our statistics. And if you're listening to this, please watch the YouTube show. Let's see here. And I guess that's the announcements. And we got a guest today. Øystein, LB8 India Juliet, a new Norwegian ham tuber, and doing something as special as CW actually on YouTube.
Yeah, and a new ham streamer as well, I guess, now.
Yeah,
today.
so absolutely. And you're here to talk a little bit about your ham journey and most of all your channel, and see if we can promote that a little bit. And speaking about CW, Kjetil has a message under his name there. So feel free to decode that for us and put it in the comments, because I just know E, I, and M, and that is not enough to pick up there. We'll get back to CW, and a couple of us have a CW journey going, so we'll see what happens. Tobias is with us in the chat, so if you got any questions for Tobias, just put them in the chat. Let's see. I see Colin says it's nice to see the channel subs growing, and there's a reason for that as well, because before Christmas we had the Ham Radio Workbench as guests on our show, and they asked kindly if they could put the show out on their podcast. So this week's episode of the Ham Radio Workbench was the European Ham Radio Show. That instantly helped with our subscriber count, to put it mildly.
That way up.
Yeah.
We should say welcome to anyone from that came in that way.
Anyone that came in that way. Either if you're listening to our new podcast or watching us on YouTube. Let's do our Ham Radio weeks before we. Oh, you got an off topic already, Bob. Go ahead.
I'm having a really hard time concentrating. What does it say, Kjetil? I tried to send you a message, but you didn't reply.
Oh yeah, where did you try to send me a message?
Messenger.
Okay.
Facebook Messenger.
Oh, I'm not on that. It just says can't read CW.
All right, because I got CPT read CD.
Yeah, which is in a way correct.
Yeah, all right.
In a meta way.
And since we're still,
go ahead. I had a hard time reading it as well. I had problem counting out the spaces in the dits and dots, and I also take it as a compliment to myself that I don't read the dits and dots very well on the screen. I listen better.
Yeah, it is. On screen, it's really hard with the spaces, and I can't listen to Morse code. I can recognize CW, but when I learned it optical via flashlights. So we learned to send simple messages in Scouts with flashlights, and then try to decode that. But that was really simple messages. I didn't know the entire alphabet. That is 35 years ago, so I probably can't do it now.
And 45 Auto says European ham radio workbench, and we're a couple of hours short to be called that, actually.
Yeah.
But we're really, really flattered that they put the episode where they were guests up on their podcast. It seems like we're doing something right if that happens. Anyway, ham radio weeks. Who want to start? Bob?
I can start. I need a cheat sheet. I've been to a ham meeting, ham fest at Gjøvik, which was really nice. It was a small one, kind of like the one Morten gave about 6 months ago or something like that. But there was really good talks. One of the Norwegian Summits on the Air elders held a excellent presentation. And there was also a presentation of what's called Innlandsnettet, which is a really fantastically cool repeater network. I'd love to get one of these guys to come on and talk about it because it's so awesome. But just to summarize it, it covers maybe 1/4 of Norway, which and Norway is a long country. And whenever you push the PTT on your handy HT, I think about 33 radios start transmitting around the country at the same time, and most of them on the same frequency. So you can drive from one coverage area to another and stay on the same frequency, the same subtone, everything. It's an amazing setup, and it's really cool to hear how they manage that and all the difficulties in that. So we should get one of these guys to come on and talk about it, because that's an amazing setup.
It's also in a lot of like valleys and high mountains area, so it is an amazing network.
Yeah, and it's the old police repeater network though. Before the police switched to TETRA.
It's the old police hardware. It's not the network. They built the network and configured it and everything, but they got some hardware from the police. Yes,
it's just the hardware. It's not the linking and everything. It's not from there.
All the linking is over the air. All the linking is UHF, and the Innlandsnet is VHF. So there's no fiber, there's no internet, there's no nothing. Everything is over the air. Amazing stuff. We should get someone to talk about it, because that's a very, very cool setup. So happy I got to listen to that. I haven't really thought about that, how that works before, but it was fun to hear it from the guys that actually built it. I didn't mean to go really all that much into it, because I don't know enough about it to do it justice, but we should get someone to talk about it, because it's really fun. And on the way up on Friday, I managed a summit. That was Lima Alpha Oscar Lima 047. That was the same one I did before, right before Christmas. So as a new year, you can do summits and get another 5 points. And on the way back today, I stopped by Lima Alpha Hotel Mike 129 and Lima Alpha Oscar Lima 044, which is the last one. It's another one I did before Christmas. So 15 points for me. That's nice. And while I was up there, the sky opened up and the snow started like you wouldn't believe. So I was driving home at 50, 60 kilometers an hour, which is in Bald Eagles is, well, let's say not much. Slow trip. And while I'm at it, I'm doing the full-on presentation today, I think, because I've been watching these ham radio workbench people. They talk about what's on their bench as well, and I think that's very cool. I got something in the post that I want to show off. I have to remove the background and what it says. This thing, which is, let's see if I can turn it on. There's the Porter Pack for the HackRF, which can do a great many fun things and some nasty things. But it's a repeater, and it's a decoder for all sorts of things. What I just started now, it's decoding APRS. Messages that's coming in via my antenna on the roof, but that thing can decode a lot of things and also transmit a lot of things. So I think I'm going to show off some of the cool things that you can do with that in future episodes. All right, I'll continue with what's on my bench. I got a new battery for the 705. I don't know if you can. It's probably impossible to see.
Yep.
It's a 4-cell battery. It's really tiny.
It's a LiPo battery.
Yes. So basically, it's sort of a bomb, but you can use it as a battery as well. It's 150 milliampere hours, but it's 14.8 nominal, which means that it's a little bit more than you should put into a radio you care about. So I built this little thing, which is basically 2 diodes in series. So that drops the voltage by 1 to 1.4 volts. So that keeps it in within range for the 705. I brought this with me today. I did 3 activations and used half of the capacity in this battery. So, and it weighs basically nothing. Really small, tiny package. So recommended.
I see something wrong with that.
All right.
No power pulse.
Why would I put power pulse in this? It's married to this one. It came with this one. I can't take that. I dare not take this off and put power pulse on here because it's not 13.4 volts. So I don't want to put power pulse on there. And why would I put power pulse on here? Because this is going into the 705. So, but yeah, I see your point. But not in this case. Nope. Let's see. I think that's it.
And how's your CW going?
Yes. I've committed to weekly updates. I know now the letters E, A, N, E, T, A, N, and O. I can decode them at 2510 Farnsworth encoding. So that's 25 words per minute signaling and 10 words per minute spacing. So I think it's going quite well. I'm pretty happy with it. It looks like I'll be able to pick up at least 1 more letter every week, maybe 2 in the weeks that I'm bored. So yeah, we'll see. I'll report back every week. I promise. I'm not going to give up this time.
Good.
That's my week.
Always nice to have some pressure. And you're still on your overhead cam.
Yeah, I'll fix that. Let's see. And the virtual background. This is my overhead cam, by the way. So
it looks like a Raspberry Pi.
It is a Raspberry Pi. And the Raspberry Pi camera and a cheap ring light. So yeah. There we go.
Looks nice. Kjetil, how has your week been?
It's been quite nice. I've done 1 activation, 1 SOTA activation today, which was in some really heavy winter storms or snowstorms. So it switched between being sunny and beautiful and nice and warm, and then suddenly snowing sideways. So that was quite interesting. And I tried doing another POTA activation earlier this week on a frozen lake, but it was basically too crowded. I don't have young kids, but I noticed that like between 7 and 10-year-old boys are very interested when you start rigging up a lot of radio equipment on a lake. They have a very short attention span, and they bring all their friends to look at that weird guy. So I ended up just explaining and then packing down before I started operating.
All right, I need to inject at this point because there's we're going to talk about other YouTube channels. There's something called RC on Life. This is a Swedish dude that does amazing things. He has the best way of getting rid of curious kids.
Okay.
Start talking about science right away. Disappear.
That sounds very nice, but also very evil.
Well, it works.
Yeah. But today the operation was, or the SOTA operation was really nice. It was 27 in the log, and I managed to forget my antenna mast on the summit, so I have to go back up tomorrow.
So another SOTA tomorrow then?
No, I'm not bringing the radio tomorrow. It's gonna be after work. It's gonna be just up and down. It's a very short hike up there. Also sharing a screen, Martin, if you wanna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll add that.
Yep. So I decided to order a new new QSL card for Lima Charlie 5 Lima, which is my contest call, because somebody started sending me QSL cards to that, and I can't return those without the correct one.
So, are you supposed to return those cards?
No, you're supposed to answer them.
Yes.
And
That is a task that has gone completely out of hand for me.
yeah, I rarely do it either, but some of them, like Lima Charlie, is not a common call sign yet. So for many, it's the first time they can get Lima Charlie prefix card. So that's it. And I also finished making a new channel logo, to like a somewhat simplified channel logo from what I decided earlier. So that and a meeting about the with the emergency communications group, and some summits on the air meetings have been on the agenda this week.
Yeah, so a pretty busy ham radio week then.
Yeah, quite enough at least.
So, Øystein, how has your ham radio week been?
Yes, not that much like Kjetil has done. I had a visit from my family in the end of the week, but I started out on Tuesday with a great activation, put out activation on Kjærleisund. I think it was Lima Alpha 1880, and yeah, it was just great. It was nice weather, and we had I actually tested out some new gear I have to show you, and I think this is up from what I've seen on YouTube. I think it's up Kjetil's alley, and it's actually do-it-yourself gear by my wife.
Oh, nice and
Yeah,
warm.
so it's a nice wool shorts. So I kept warm this time. I was complaining on Discord, and Kjetil said 10 minus isn't really that cold if you dress up. So I did learn my lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a great activation, and I run this QRP radio through SDX, and I actually managed to rake up quite a pile up. And people starting with QRM and tuning on top of it of me, and yeah, but it was quite fun. And guess what I found in the pile? 4 DX stations, and I think that is great on the QRP, and that speaks to the power of CW, I think. Yeah, so the video will be out, I think, tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah,
We'll see.
and I gotta find. I actually put a tab up with your channel here. We featured your channel last week, but I'm gonna do it once more here now, so they can subscribe to your channel here, Ham Radio Passion. And I'll see. I can put the link in the chat as well here, and there's also a link in the description for your channel. So hopefully you'll get some new subscribers from this this show as well. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, that's all the radio activity I got done. And but I've been thinking a bit about this program as well, going to stream this week. So that's also a new thing for me. Yeah. And I've been editing some movies. I have a video also coming out next week about the Straight Key Night, 1st of January. So that's going to be fun to get out there and see the response. Yeah, but that's pretty much my week, I think.
And I like one. Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Is a thing called Straight Key Night?
Yeah. It's 1st of January each year. The full UT. It says it's called the Straight Key Night, but it's the full UTC day. So everyone brings out their straight key. So you're not, you're not done. You have ordered your Bengali paddle. You need a straight key as well.
I understand now, because it sort of sounded like gay bashing for a minute, but it wasn't.
This is about CW keys, Bob.
It's about CW. Yeah, that's fine. I'll get a straight key for New Year's next year.
Yeah, and I see that Andy Cowley has subbed to your channel for a long time there, Øystein. So that's good. Let's see, my ham radio week. I got a workbench cam as well. A couple of things. Speaking about CW, I've been working on the train back and forth to work on my CW. And I had a couple of things that I wanted to do this year that I made a video about. And one of them was building more kits. Another one was learning CW. So I built this Morcerino. I thought it was a tough build, so I didn't make a video on it. That was stupid because it took me 35 minutes to build from start to finish. It's a CW practice device with terrible pedals, but it's based around an ESP32 with a LoRa transmitter. So if you have several of these nearby, you can actually do CW over LoRa. Besides that, I played a little bit around with the Mobile Link TNC2. It looks like a TNC 3 and 4, but it does not communicate well with Apple devices. It does not communicate with Apple devices. It does not communicate well with Windows devices. I have not been able to make it communicate with Linux devices, but it communicates with Android devices. But there's no good WinLink client on Android. So I'm not really sure what to do with this.
Do you use that Morcerino on the train?
No, I don't use that on the train. I use an app called Morse Mania on the train.
Yeah, because I imagine you sitting there pushing that one like a maniac on the train going on into Oslo.
Yeah, that would catch some attention on the morning train.
That would make a great video.
Yeah. Besides that, I got a pink 3D print here because my LoRa boards are hopefully arriving tomorrow. So I am ready to put my tracker in, get my iGate up, and start experimenting with that. And then it's this little thing, which actually proves that you can use a Comic Sans font on something that is well constructed. It's an APRS Digipeater and iGate from Microsat. So I'm just waiting for a cable to connect it to a radio. And then I'll be testing out the Digipeater and iGate I'm putting up. And who would like to guess what kind of radio I'm going to use with this? Yeah, I went to Microsat, the Microsat website, Bob, and ordered a ready-made cable.
Ah, right.
I figured after bad soldering jobs on a couple of plugs a couple of times, it was just cheaper to order a cable that works.
That's I'll tell you this. I've soldered to this once before, and I only needed 2 pins. What I ended up doing was chopping off all the others to be able to reach the 2 pins that I needed. So that's not easy.
So I figured I'd buy a ready-made cable. But who would like to guess what kind of radio I'm going to use for this?
I think I know, so I'm just gonna keep quiet.
No, I have no idea. No, okay.
At least for testing, and then I'll see if I can find a good mobile radio to use with it. But for testing purposes, one of my Baofangs gonna work for this. So we'll see how this plays out, but I think it's gonna play out. And for starters, I'm going to use an antenna up in my attic, and when snow goes away, I'm going to have 5/8 vertical up for this. So there'll be some APRS coverage in this area as well, which there isn't.
Oh, it's going to be permanently.
It's going to be permanently. I filled out the paperwork for Digipeater call sign.
Oh, nice.
Cool. So just need a couple of signatures on that, send that into the right authorities, and we'll get a LD call sign back for that.
Nice.
So
you have to pay for those as well?
No, those are free. The call signs are free. The thing is, though, it has to be a club.
Yeah.
You can't do this as a private person. It has to be a club that runs a Digipeater. So I need some signatures and all the bells and whistles, but it's going to be physically located in my shack.
Cool. That makes it a bit more acceptable to use a Baofeng as well, because if things break, you can just screw in another one in 2 seconds flat.
Exactly, but I am going to switch it to a better radio at some point. But there's a maximum EIRP of 25 watts, And with the gain of the 5/8 wave antenna, I'm getting pretty close to that with the Baofeng.
Oh, okay. Who sets these rules? And is that a league or the authorities?
That is a legal requirement.
All right. Yeah.
For digipeaters.
Yeah. Ah.
So it's not the power from the radio; it's the radiated power.
Yeah.
So when I did all the calculations, I was up to with the feed cable length, I guesstimated because you have to fill those in at the application, and I ended up at 16.5 watts EIRP with that antenna.
Yep. That should be enough for a digipeater. Is it going to be iGate as well?
It's going to be an iGate as well. As you can see on, let me switch the cams again. This is a self-contained device, by the way. It's got a web interface, and you run everything from the web interface. No need for a computer, but there's a network port here.
Yeah.
So that's really, really nice. You can just plug it into a network and have it going. And then there are some probes here for thermometers and stuff, but I'm probably not going to use that. But I could.
Yeah.
So it might be there at some point. First of all, I'm just going to test it and have it up and running, and have it running. And I'm going to probably co-locate that with the LoRa iGate and digipeater as well.
Yep. Is it? Did you buy that device?
No, I did not buy it. It was gifted to. It was actually a giveaway at our Christmas party at the club, and another ham got that, and he gave it to me to use for our digipeater. Just to have a simple solution. Same with the Mercerino as well. So and the Mobile Linked.
I think in your club you get cool stuff.
We do. We have one guy that gives really nice giveaways. Besides that, it's the usual Baofengs and such.
Yep.
So I guess that's the Ham Radio Week segment, and we got a new segment since we're not doing Guess That Mode anymore. Since no one actually bothers to guess the mode, and that's promoting YouTube channels. And there's going to be a little bit of a segue here. I talked about LoRa APRS, and that's how I discovered this channel. And that's Manuel Lausmann. He's a German ham. Let's see. He's got a German YouTube channel in German, but there is halfway decent YouTube subtitles. It might help to know a little bit of German, but it does a lot of APRS, LoRa APRS stuff here. So it's been really helpful to kind of understand LoRa and LoRa APRS before I got started with it. So I've started to take a liking to this channel, and he's got a couple of cool projects. He's built a LoRa APRS car tracker with a 2.4 inch display on his dashboard, and the rest hidden in the trunk of his car. And he's got a couple of iGate digipeater builds. So he hits every button of the projects I am planning to do. So give him a sub, or at least check his channel out if you know a little bit of German. And now to our regularly scheduled programming. Øystein, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and welcome to Ham Radio YouTube. It's a really friendly space of the internet where people usually are nice. When did you get your license?
Yeah, my license. I think, I took my exam in the 30th of May, I think, 2023. So, yeah, been a ham less than a year.
And what made you think about getting your license? Because that's always interesting to hear. What was your gateway drug into ham radio?
Actually, my good friend Øystein, LB7 Victor Juliet, is I think he was here in the chat. He has asked me several times over the last years if I would consider joining him taking the license, and I'm always been like, nah. Why would I take a license to be able to talk on walkie-talkies with old people? Small talk. I totally misunderstood the hobby. I guess. Anyways, last January, I think he finally gave up, and he signed up for the course and took the license course. And yeah, and Kjetil, you should really not underestimate the power of talking to 10-year-old people, because my son was over at Øystein several times listening to the radio, and he came home to me and, Dad, you really need to take the ham radio license. And he was really pushing on.
Although I show them everything, so like I think it's important to give kids like a lasting memory of us not being weird people like those old guys with hams or with walkie-talkies, but that we actually do some cool stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
So every opportunity to show it off, then I'd take that.
Yeah, and I met your son on field day, Øystein, and he's also been out to a PODO activation we did between Christmas and New Year's, and he is really enthusiastic about ham radio.
Yeah,
and he measures value in baofangs, and that is a rare trait in a kid.
All right, you have to tell me what do you feed this kid? Because I need to get my son some of it.
Oh, I don't know. He's just so curious about the world and everything, and the ham radio has really caught him. So he's reading up on the license him as well. I don't know when he's ready. It's quite early for a 10-year-old, I think, but he's a smart kid.
Yeah, I am impressed though, because when we grew up, we didn't have the internet in the same way. We didn't have that really short attention span. We were used to being bored, and then you dialed around on the radio. You figured what's SW on the radio, and you just start fiddling with the radio. Today's kids don't have that experience, so I am impressed that you managed to convince them to be interested in ham radio.
Yeah, there's got to be something about this hobby that ticks a nerve or something. I don't know. Anyways, my Øyvind, I think when it was the night before his exam, I was sitting down with him and was looking through his book. And I realized I totally misunderstood ham radio, and it was just like 98% other stuff that was cool to know. So I asked to borrow his book after he passed the exam, and he told me the next course is January 2024, or is it February? Anyway, it hasn't started yet, but I'm an impatient guy, so I couldn't wait that long. So I read up myself and went to Norwegian Radio and Relay League headquarters and took the test. So that's how it started out, and I have the QSO the same day on Baofeng.
Yeah, and I just gotta ask though, because you were able to read and learn this stuff, and I'm not sure if everyone knows the Norwegian curriculum, but it's a pretty tough curriculum if you don't have a science background. So what's your background to pick up everything so fast?
My background is in computer science. But so not that related, but I did take half a year of electro engineer studies. I always had an interest in electronics, but not that always DC. No, I had to learn everything about the AC then. So, but I had some foundation, I think.
Yeah, that's good. I see Steve's got a question if we have a tier system on our licensing in Norway, and we do not at the moment. But There is a beginner's license on the way, but I don't know when or if it's going to go through. I know that everything's finalized and it's at our communications agency for approval, which is going to be modeled after the British. What's the beginner license in Britain called?
Novice?
Novice, yeah. So it's going to be limited to power and limited to what kind of equipment you can use. You cannot build your own equipment and such. But that is common, and it's going to be an easier curriculum to get. The beginner level in Britain is called the foundation license.
Yeah, we used to have back in I think they stopped with that in the 90s at some time, when Lima Bravo and Lima Charlie were different types of like beginner licenses.
Mm-hmm.
So for now, it's everybody has the same license.
Which is good, but it's tough for some people like me.
It is. I think I passed with one, and then I had just studied engineering and done a lot of electronics. So it is. But we had a simpler curriculum than you guys had.
Yeah. Did you have the 60-question test or the 30-question test, Øystein?
60, I think. Yeah, 60.
Yeah.
Probably,
because
I had the 60-question test, so he's bound to have had it. Yeah.
I had the 30-question test. I failed the first test admissibly, to put it mildly. When I went through the questions after the test, I figured that I might have had a couple of them right. Then I studied hard for a week and had one wrong on the second attempt.
Yeah, and we had a different test before, like it was changed before you got yours, Morten. I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, it is really cool that you read up though, that people do that as well. That people don't take the courses. It's not for everybody either. But I guess nowadays everybody can join online. Before COVID, you had to go physically to a place to attend the courses.
Yeah, and it's probably other courses that run all through the year, but not locally here, and so it was the net course was my option, but not really option though.
Yeah, I think there's a one net course that just started in Norway, and there's another one starting in maybe just a few weeks. So if you're in Norway and you want to take a course, you can either try Googling it, or you can get in touch with us at our email address, and I'll find the coursework for you. I really recommend doing the course, not because it's difficult not to do it, but there are all these other things that are not the facts that you need, that you miss out on, and you have to discover them on your own. So I would recommend the course, even if you're really capable of managing to take the exam yourself. And I'm sure you can attest to this, Øystein. You probably had many questions when you got your license that you wouldn't have had if you've been a part of that dynamic of the course over the 10 weeks. So,
yeah, and also this is also about getting in touch with people and talking with people, and the course really helps to build that first network of hams, and yeah, I think it's a great opportunity.
Absolutely,
to join the course.
And if anyone watches pretty much from anywhere in the world, join our Discord, because we have people from all over that could help you figure out where to start your journey towards a license if you're watching this and you don't have your license. And it's hamshow.eu/Discord if you want to get in touch with us there. Or it's cq@hamshow.eu if you want to send us an email.
Yeah, I would also encourage people to, if they know somebody that potentially would like to be a ham operator, encourage them to join you, an operation and see what it is, because people, like, everybody thinks something weird about ham radio until they see it. Even when they see it, like when I met a lot of people today on the SOTA Summit, a lot of them just look weirdly at you or wonder what on earth you're doing.
Yeah.
So
But it's absolutely if you wanna get your license, we can help you through at least some of the parts. A lot of the curriculum is the same wherever in the world you are. I mean, electronics is not culture dependent, so
Yeah.
except for the one country where they use weird measurements.
Yeah, I'm. Once we get to Walt back, I'm going to stop talking about the 10 meter span and the 12 meter span. It's going to be the feet band.
Yeah.
But I do think that their electronics is mostly the same. Like an ohm is the same. They don't have a weird ohm thing. So
that's true, but the symbol for the resistor is different.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
So let's get back on topic for a little while. I am kind of curious what made you venture into YouTube, Øystein?
Yeah. Well, I think I just stumbled upon it. I was it was the end of my learning CW, not the end. I was still learning CW, I guess, but I felt ready to get on air with CW, and I was thinking I can't let this chance pass, so I took up the recorder and to record a QSO, and I made a lot of mistakes. I have tried to transmit a lot of times. It was really I handled it really well all the times practicing, but suddenly on air after sending my call sign, I was just totally blackout. Major brain fart, I think. So yeah, you can enjoy it. And I put it up there because I heard the Long Island CW club, they always talk about how hard it is to take the first step on air with CW. People tend to push it further and are really afraid to do their first QSO. And I just thought, let me throw it out there so I can lower the bar a bit and maybe be the worst I can serve as is a bad example.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. That was the coolest CW video ever, and I think that's the reason that I committed to learning now. It's not only that, but it's in part because of that video. Because that's just a fantastic spirit, just going at it, failing, going, and just not giving up and getting that QSO through. Fantastic video. If you haven't seen it, just look it up right away.
Yeah.
Or you can wait for the stream to end, but later on.
Yeah, please wait for the stream to end.
And I sent my call sign and he responded, and I just blacked out. I didn't know. Okay, what do I send now? I knew what to send, but not in the moment. And I just felt like, oh, some letters. I have to send something to not put him off. Yeah.
But so it's back to your first QSO then. I remember my first HF QSO with a guy from the Isle of Wight, and I think I had my license for about 7 minutes before I attempted that QSO. And let's say it was not a smooth QSO. I did not know how to operate, but he was kind and he helped me through it. And I guess it's the same feeling on your first CW QSO, right?
Yeah, maybe, but he's. I think the station I was sending was more. He was really in the routine and sending what he always sent. So I think it may be a bit harder to help out on CW in a way.
Yeah,
but it's really standardized. The some of the QSOs on CW, and I found a station and I listened to him for a while, and I heard he all he was doing was exchanging RST and not a lot more, not the name even. So I could I can handle this. And also the POTA and SOTA QSOs is also of the same kind. It's mainly the call signs and RST that changes between between QSOs.
any
Sometimes
contests?
you get put off by something other, but yeah, it's we're really standardized.
Have you done any contests yet, or are you planning to?
Yeah. Nice that you mentioned it, and that's my plan actually the next week, because in Norway there's a CW contest.
Yeah.
And actually, starting out when I started to study for CW, we had the field day with I visited Morten and his club and did some field day on SSB. And I just thought, okay, field day next year, that's CW. But contests in CW, that's usually you're speaking about 30 words per minute. And I'm not there yet. But I will try. I will try to
join on, for example, join a big club station when one of the big gun people are there, like Lima Alpha 8 Oscar Mike. He does a CW with both hands and has a headset with one ear to each radio, so he can work two bands at the same time. But that's a bit of skill, and training.
Is this a true story or is it just an anecdote?
No, this is true. This is absolutely true. So if you
to
LA for Charlie during contest time, then that's what you see.
But I'm thinking about CW, and when I'm out doing a POTA, and I forgot to mention this, I got another kilo this week. But when I'm out doing POTA, no matter how big the pileup is, and no matter how smooth it goes, there's always this one German guy that wants to ride you with you. What do you do when that happens on CW?
I'm really unsure what to do, and because that happens a lot, and you don't want to. You want to be please the ones waiting in the pile. So I try to cut it short, but I try also to be polite in the way I put them off. So I send my name and my QTH, and then I say I'm on POTA. So thank you for the short QSO, and put them off.
Because that is actually that is a little bit tough when people really wanna rag you with you, and you're running a pileup. That could cost you that pileup you have.
Yeah. I don't know what's the best way to, because but I'm learning how to avoid it a bit in the when you're running the pileup. If you don't tell everyone once in a while that you're on a POTA, they may start to rag you. So or if I'm calling CQ, you have to say POTA. Remember to say POTA in between always. So they know what you're after.
Not everybody knows what POTA is, though. So at least on SSB, it's not always easy for them to hear it. But then again, it's never ill will from these people. Or
no, it is not, except for the people doing deliberate QRM.
Yeah,
that's the people tuning on top of you, and the pileups where people don't really wait for you to finish a QSO. That can be tough, and I guess that is tougher on CW. At least if you're not really good with CW. And speaking about that, go ahead, Øystein, sorry.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure how to put them off, but if anyone have any ideas or know how the routine guys do it on POTA, I would like to know what's the Q code to let them off.
We should get, and I know he really would like to join us. He was supposed to be on last week about the SDRs, but Thomas Witherspoon, K4SWL. We should actually, at some point, since most of us are doing a little bit of a CW journey here, we could have Thomas on if you'd like, Thomas. I hope you're watching at some point. Join us and talk a little bit about CW and how you do Parks in the Air and Summits on the Air on CW. because he's probably one of the guys I know about that is really, really good on CW and activations.
I think I wouldn't know how to answer this question for CW, but for sideband, when I'm on a summit, the QSO is usually me calling CQ. I get a response, and that's very, very seldom they just jump into the reg queuing right away. So you get one response from them. I send them one response back, their call sign, everything. I say, have a nice day, enjoy your weekend, 7-3. And there's very, very few people that will start a rag queue after I told them to have a nice weekend and said 7-3. So that has worked quite nice for me, but that's of course on sideband, not on CW. I wouldn't know how if that's any different.
And the thing is, though, when you give your first response and the guy answers, yes, my name is, my QTH is, the weather is, if you get that weather here today is, then you know you got to make that short pretty fast. Especially if you have a pile up like I did yesterday with, I went out hoping for 36 QSOs, which I was missing for the kilo, and I ended up with a constant pile up until I hit 123 QSOs in the log. I got Stuart G5 STU as number 72, and I figured this got to die down at some point. And then he posted on Discord that I had a never-ending pileup, so it just kept going. And when you get those people, you just got to be really, really polite, but you got to police your own pileup in a good way. Then, which we also talked about in the band police episode, actually.
Yeah. I actually took Tim's. I think Tim was the one that made this perfectly clear that you have to police your own pileup. You have to take charge of it, and so after that I started doing that. I insist now on using my call sign in between all the QSOs, and also every 4 or 5 I'll repeat the summit reference, and I think that's helped a lot. I seem to be losing some of the pileup. Some people don't want to bother to stick around because I get fewer QSOs when I do that. It doesn't matter on the summit, as long as you get 4, then that's sufficient. But I think it's easier. It's not all that often I have to run the numbers to manage to hear who's in the pileup. So
exactly, and I always do that, and I do that because I hate pileups where I listen to them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I don't know which station I'm supposed to call.
Yeah.
So I do that, and I do that also for me to get a little bit of a break between the pileups, just to reset my brain, which I find useful. And then you got the usual offenders, and we all know who those are that don't listen. I tried to go for numbers, for number 1 stations, number 2 stations, and so on yesterday, and I just gave up on that after 3 tries because I asked for number 1 stations, and Papa Alpha 3 Charlie Victor Delta, just as an example, came in, and it's so hard to, when you get those kind of pileups, it is really tough. And I think I put in my spotting as well that I need 36 QSOs for a kilo, and that might have helped a little bit as well on getting that pileup, but it never stopped.
The fun part is when you lose total control and like people start having QSOs with each other and think they're you.
I had a couple of those yesterday.
Or you hear like 3 or 4 people saying thank you for the QSO at the same time, and you have one call written down.
I had activation. I think I had to switch frequency a couple of times because of that problem. And I guess that's really come up with the QRP rig. You're really weak, and they can hear each other better.
I had one activation where I got thank you for South Carolina after one of the QSOs. And I said, well, I am not in South Carolina, and I already have you in the log. And then I went ahead, checked the POTA spotting page, and there was a guy in South Carolina on the same frequency. I could not hear that station from South Carolina, but I guess a lot of the hunters did.
Yeah, I believe that Kilo Bravo for Foxtrot Hotel has gotten a lot of weird QSL cards as well. At least a lot of the American stations that when I started this, they couldn't understand Lima Bravo. So they got a lot, but it's hard, at least when you're doing QRP, to do that policing. And if I were to stop down and do quiet and like the slow mode things that you talk about there, not sure if I would be able to finish all the pileups. Today, of course, it was good conditions, but not always.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to like read the conditions a bit as well.
Yeah, and you know with SSB, if you have a young kid calling CQ or calling in a pileup, you can clearly hear him out, and on CW you could be this guy by tuning a bit on your frequency, going a bit off frequency. You could be that high pitch sound that breaks the pileup.
It's the same, and there are a couple of female hunters now going on around Europe, and they seem to have a lot easier way of breaking through the pileups than a lot of the other ones have.
Yeah, but you know their call signs already. So like
I know at least, I would say at least 60% of the call signs in a POTA pileup, I know them by now. Yeah. So that also when Manuel Echo Alpha 2 Delta Tango, which has been weak lately, I could not have picked him up in all of those pileups if I didn't know that it was him.
That's true. I don't know if Christian does parks, but he does summits. So that's Foxtrot 4 whiskey. I forget.
Whiskey Bravo November.
Whiskey Bravo November. Thank you so much. I know that voice. They can be the biggest pileup. I can have 20 people calling on top of each other, and I know that voice. And I'll just
Foxtrot 4, Whiskey Bravo November.
Yeah. And he's always so nice. And I worked him twice this weekend as well. He didn't show up on the last summit, so I hope he's all right. But he usually shows up everywhere. He worked me on every single summit I was on Sardinia. I think that's just amazing.
And Don, Golf Zero Romeo Quebec Lima.
Yep.
Yeah. He's not as common anymore.
He's getting back there. He's been there in all of my latest POTAs, but he was away for a little while. And then what's that Polish guy? Andy. Yeah, what's his call sign again? Sierra Papa 8 Quebec Sierra Papa 8.
There's a queue in there. I worked him today.
Yeah, there's a queue in there.
But it's like my cell phone dictionary, like the spell checker that had like all of the call signs of all of the hunters around Europe just listed in. So it suggested a lot of weird things when I was writing other kinds of messages.
We are getting close to the hour mark now. So I guess it's time to start shutting the pileup down. Turning our power down to, let's say, 100 milliwatts or something, and see if the pileup stops. It rarely does, but I was about to do that yesterday on my pileup. Thank you for being on, Øystein.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a really great show, and it's been really interesting to hear about your journey from deciding to get your license to having a YouTube channel and doing CW. That is, and I hope some other people really want to do CW after watching your videos. And at least here, I don't know about you, Kjetil, you don't seem to have made a commitment about CW yet.
Oh, I have.
You have?
My commitment is to learn to decode RTTY by ear before I start doing CW.
All right.
Yes. But besides that, Walt is gonna do a CW activation by the end of January. At least that's what he said on the show where we had the Ham Radio Workbench guys on. Tobias knows CW, so that leaves me and you, Bob.
Yep.
And I know ETIC IMA and a couple more letters almost, at least when I use the Morse Mania app on my phone on the train. I'm at level 9, but I usually start every train journey with level 1 and keep going and see how well it goes. So
I saw in your backlog you had the episode why FT8 is better than CW. So I
Yes.
expect a follow-up on that as well.
We were talking about that. In fact, if we can get some of the CW guys to come on, we'll do an episode called "Why CW is Better Than FT8."
Yeah,
And that will be sent all in CW.
Not all in CW, just some. Just some.
Oh,
Just a couple
that's
of
why I
more
don't-
skis talking to each other.
Yeah.
I do not know what that would do with our subscriber numbers, though.
Or viewership.
Yeah. Well, thank you all viewers for staying on, and thank you, Øystein, for being on. We'll be back next week with Tim, N9SAB from N9SAB Antennas. Let me just quickly put that up. Let's see. I have producing a show and talking at the same time is about as hard as ham radio. There you go. Tim from N9SAB Antennas will be on next week talking about his really nice portable antennas. I'm in the process of ordering one from him. I've only heard good things about his antennas. It's really good craftsmanship. So I would definitely take a look at those antennas, and he's probably going to talk a little bit about how he does stuff next week. And I guess that's it for now. Thank you all, guys. See you next week. Remember to subscribe to all our channels. It's down in the description. Yeah, next week, 7-3.
7-3.
7-3.
Century.